My name is Kyle, and I'm a proud father of two beautiful children, living in a middle-class neighborhood where everyone seemed to get along. At least, on the surface. My family is one of the few black families on the block, and though we hadn't faced outright hostility at first, it didn't take long to notice that something was off. In our neighborhood, there was a self-righteous woman whom we all referred to as Karen. Quite literally, she fit the stereotype of the entitled HOA member who felt she had some divine right to dictate the minutiae of our lives. At first, I thought it was just her personality. She was inflexible and often grating. However, her attitude took a dark turn when she began making false accusations against my family. It started simply enough. My packages began disappearing. I had ordered a new video game console for my kids, and Thanksgiving decorations for our family get-together, but each time I came home and realized they were missing, my heart sank deeper into frustration. I initially blamed the usual suspects, porch pirates lurking about and snatching up parcels left on doorstep. But the tipping point came one day when I overheard Karen speaking to another neighbor about how my family must have taken someone else's packages. I was livid. Here I was, trying to provide a good life for my children, and instead of neighbors coming together, my family was wrongly accused in a community where we had hoped to belong. Determined to get to the bottom of this, I decided to install security cameras around my front porch. I'd heard too many horror stories of neighbors turning against each other, and I didn't want to make any assumptions before I had proof. My brother helped me set up the cameras, and once they were in place, I felt a sense of relief. I knew the truth would prevail. Days turned into weeks, and I became obsessed with checking the footage, barely sleeping due to the anxiety of the situation. My kids would laugh and play outside while my wife, Aisha, tried to keep a brave face for them. "Daddy's just making sure everything is okay," I'd tell them when they asked why I seemed distracted. Finally, one night, I caught a glimmer of movement in the footage. There she was, Karen, arms loaded with packages, tiptoeing away from our porch. My anger morphed into vindication. I was right to record everything. I showed the footage to Aisha, and we both knew we had to confront her about it. However, we also worried about the consequences of directly addressing her. What if she doubled down, as Karens often do? We gathered our wits together, prepared our defense, and realized that going through the neighborhood's HOA might be the best route. I printed out screenshots of the camera recordings as well as the timestamps and decided to call out her behavior at the next HOA meeting. I couldn't let her get away with this. Her entitlement had crossed a serious line. The day of the HOA meeting was filled with a whirlwind of emotions. At first, I felt confident. I had my evidence and a community that was supportive of my family. However, as I took my seat among the rows of neighbors, I could see just how packed the room was. I mean, how would I have a voice against Karen and her legion of followers? After several mundane discussions about zoning and yard aesthetics, the topic finally shifted to package thefts in our neighborhood. Karen played the role of the concerned citizen beautifully, acting as if she had done nothing wrong. I could barely contain my anger, so when I was finally given a chance to speak, the words came rushing out forcefully. "I have video footage that proves Karen has been stealing packages off my porch," I stated, pointing at her. Murmurs erupted around the room, a mixture of shock and disbelief filling the air. Karen's face turned a bright shade of crimson, and it became apparent she was cornered. But instead of owning up to her actions, she lashed out, calling me an opportunist and claiming I was trying to defame her character because of the color of my skin. Her words stung. They weren't just accusations thrown at me, they were a reminder of the world we live in. A world where even in the face of undeniable evidence, some people could still turn to race to protect themselves. I took a deep breath and continued to stand my ground, explaining how her actions impacted my family, only to realize the meeting was slipping away from me as the members fell under Karen's spell again. After fighting an uphill battle, I reluctantly walked away from the meeting feeling defeated, yet emboldened. I knew something had to be done. Karen's actions couldn't go unchecked, and I required a plan that would catch her off guard, something she wouldn't see coming. After a restless night, I awoke with a bold idea that popped into my head. Perhaps the most entertaining, yet somehow fitting, way to get back at Karen would be a harmless prank that also served a dose of justice. I began researching ideas and stumbled upon a peculiar opportunity: a trained skunk trained to spray on command. Now, before you think I'm deranged, let me explain myself. Skunks are effective in the prankster department and possess no long-term harm to their targets, aside from a stinky reminder of their misdeeds. After some frantic Googling and reaching out to a local animal trainer, I arranged to purchase the skunk. I named him Stinky, and it wasn't long before I had Stinky trained and ready for action. Once I had the plan locked down, I cranked up the excitement in my household. I told Aisha and the kids about my scheme. Expectedly, their eyes lit up with mischief. My kids had witnessed enough of this racist nonsense, and were more than ready to support their dad in giving Karen her just dessert. We settled on the perfect day for the ultimate prank. It was a Saturday, when the neighborhood was buzzing with activity, a perfect opportunity to watch the events unfold as we set the trap. I ordered an additional package to have Stinky concealed inside a large cardboard box. Once the box arrived, I positioned it on the porch, carefully camouflaging it among our usual deliveries. The day had finally arrived. Everything was set. Aisha and the kids crept inside with me while we watched from behind the curtain, cameras rolling, waiting for Karen's predictable arrival. I could feel my heart pounding as we waited in anticipation. There was a mix of thrill and nervousness as we wondered how the prank would unfold. Would she fall for it? Would it backfire? As expected, she showed up. Her entitled strut towards our porch was palpable. She looked around as if she owned the place, confirming she was on a hunt. I bit into a snack, adrenaline coursing through my veins. A few moments later, she casually approached the box, glancing around before reaching out to grab the package. "Oh, what's this?" she said to herself. I couldn't help but laugh quietly. I was more than ready to record the karma that was about to unfold. As she lifted the lid, Stinky was ready. The trained skunk shot out and a chaotic moment ensued. Our neighbors heard her ear-piercing scream, and I felt an exultant joy as everyone else turned to witness what had become a spectacle. Stinky ran around the yard in sheer panic, spraying his skunky defense while Karen darted for cover. My kids erupted into giggles, and Aisha had tears streaming down her cheeks from laughing so hard. Within a split second, the entire block began to grasp just how absurd the situation was. It was apparent that karma had a sense of humor. While Karen nabbed the record of her life from my Ring camera, the image would go down in infamy. The HOA's resident Karen caught red-handed, attempting to steal while also getting the spritz of what it means to cross a black family. In the aftermath, the community rallied around us, realizing the extent of Karen's actions. People approached me and offered genuine apologies for believing her. Neighbors who had previously turned their heads in discomfort began to stand up for us, ensuring that Karen was not welcome to continue her discriminatory deals. The events had spun a collective thread of humanity around us. Our families would gather for community BBQs, and we quickly bonded over the shared laughter of the skunk saga. It was ironic that a prank meant to serve justice had turned into the glue binding our community together. As for Karen? Well, she received her fair share of faux sympathy in the weeks that followed, but the crisp reality was clear. Her attempts to sow division had not only thwarted her own reputation but defaulted back on her behavior that day. That skunk would be remembered by all. Through it all, I found my position as not just a member of the community, but a voice for racial justice. I learned that laughter could sometimes be the best remedy against ignorance and hatred, and that the human spirit has a funny way of lifting one another when faced with adversity. Since the unforgettable skunk incident, Kyle has become somewhat of a local hero in the neighborhood. His fearless stand against Karen's racism not only brought him a good dose of laughter but also solidified his role as a leader within the community. The experience transformed him into an advocate for racial justice, inspiring him to organize neighborhood meetings focused on diversity and inclusion. Kyle has continued to install security measures around his home, not just for his family's safety, but as a proactive approach to encourage other neighbors to be vigilant about package theft and community watch. In the weeks following the prank, Kyle's confidence soared. He found himself embracing communal activities, such as organizing family-friendly events, potluck dinners, and even game nights, where people could unwind and connect. His family, including his children, have actively participated in these gatherings, creating a sense of unity that hadn't existed before. Aisha has taken the lead in fostering relationships within the neighborhood, using her social skills to engage families and build bridges between diverse groups. Drawing on their shared experience, she started a book club focused on social justice topics, inviting residents from all backgrounds to discuss literature that highlights racial issues and promotes empathy. Aisha has also volunteered to speak at local schools about the importance of community and inclusivity, further extending their influence beyond their immediate neighborhood. The bond with Kyle has deepened as they work together, making parenting decisions that align with their values of justice, respect, and love. The community has undergone a noticeable transformation since the Skunk incident. Once divided by subtle stereotypes and misunderstandings, neighbors have started to engage with each other more openly. Informal gatherings have become regular occurrences, and the primary focus is on mutual respect and collaboration. Karen, on the other hand, has retreated from public life. She rarely participates in neighborhood activities and has become somewhat of a cautionary tale for the community. The residents now openly embrace diversity, and there's a newfound camaraderie that binds everyone, regardless of race or background. The neighborhood has learned the power of standing together against discrimination, and Kyle's family has helped pave the way for more open dialogues about culture, identity, and belonging. Together, they've turned an adverse situation into an opportunity for growth and unity.